Trial in New York City. President Obama is also weighing in on the upcoming civilian trial of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. In an interview with NBC's Chuck Todd, the president responds to the controversy surrounding the trial in New York. Chuck asked the president if he understands why some are offended that Khalid Sheikh Mohammed is getting the same legal privileges as American citizens.
I don't think it will be offensive at all when he's convicted and when the death penalty is applied to him.
Having that kind of confidence in the conviction, I mean, one of the purposes of doing the justice system, going with justice, going with the legal and not the military court, is to show off to the world our fairness of our court system. Well, but you've also now just said he's going to be convicted and given the death sentence. Do you worry about the credibility of the... Go ahead.
Look, what I said was that people will not be offended if that's the outcome. I'm not prejudging it. I'm not going to be in that courtroom. That's the job of the prosecutors, the judge, and the jury. What I'm absolutely clear about is that I have complete confidence in the American people and in our legal traditions.
My big question's about the what if surrounding these detainees. If critics are worried about them being tried in the American justice system and not convicted, what does that say about the fact that we're holding them now? And if critics are worried about the danger they present by holding them in custody on American soil, what does it say about the effectiveness of our counterterrorism efforts? And if the critics are worried about the possibility of terrorists escaping from maximum security prisons, come on, what does that say about the security of our prisons? Let's bring in Republican strategist Doug Hine and Democratic strategist David Goodfriend. What do you think, Doug, that says about the system that we have in place right now of justice, of security, of counterterrorism, if those are concerns?
You know, certainly there have been a lot of fantastical scenarios that have been brought up that really are reminiscent more of an episode of 24 than anything that is really done on the ground with counterterrorism or even in our law enforcement community. But there are a lot of people who have very real concerns about the message that this sends, the message that is received from Al-Qaeda on this. Certainly Daniel Pearl's family is very upset about this. CNN poll said that 64% of American voters don't like this plan. That means it's not just Republicans. It means it's independents and really some Democrats as well.
How would you like it if they're using fear tactics here? I mean, David, here's my problem. It's illogical. We already try terrorists in the U.S. justice system and we lock them away. And it's not, I mean, look at Timothy McVeigh. Not only was he committing terror, tried, he was executed in the American justice system. He never escaped from that Colorado Supermax prison. Right now, you have other prisoners being held at the Supermax in Colorado. Ramzi Youssef, who headed the group that carried out the 1993 bombing of the World Trade Center. Zacarias Moussaoui, the 9/11 conspirator, he was tried in Virginia. You have Jose Padilla, the dirty bomber, tried in Miami, currently being held in Colorado. How does this make any sense, David?
Well, of course it doesn't. I mean, what are you afraid of if you're criticizing having a trial in New York City? What are you afraid of? I always get a kick out of the Republican critics of this plan who are saying, we're tough, we're mean, we are tough, we're going to punish these guys, and then, oh no, they turn into scaredy pants the minute we're actually going to have a real trial with real consequences on American soil. It doesn't make sense, but I'll tell you what's really going on here. Under the Clinton presidency, there was an approach to treat terrorists like criminals. Under the Bush presidency, there was an approach to treat them like enemy combatants. Therein lies the real difference. And I, as a Democrat, believe that we fall down as a country if we abandon our basic principles of the American justice system, the best justice system in the world. If we abandon that at our will, just because we want to, then that doesn't make us a light to the rest of the nations when it comes to criminal justice. And we're going to prove to the world that the United States punishes criminals, gives them their just desserts in a fair and open environment.
Okay, but let's go with the argument that they are enemy combatants. I mean, after all, President Bush, after 9/11, declared a war on terror. Right. Certainly we know in past wars we had prisoners of war. We had enemy combatants. So, Doug, explain to me, how long do you hold enemy combatants? How long do you hold prisoners of war?
Well, they obviously have been held for an undetermined period or a determined period, but we don't know how much longer that'll continue. That's something that I think the administration is right to answer. The question is, why do we want to bring these people in?
No. Here's the question. Why not?
Well, why not? I think the answer is why. What benefit does it cause? We don't really know of any. And you know, again, David brought up, you know, or you brought up the war on terror. That's a phrase the administration doesn't use anymore. They don't believe in a war on terror, and they think that this is just a normal police assignment. Obviously, the president is very confident that there will be a conviction. There are a lot of people in Los Angeles who are pretty confident about an O.J. Simpson conviction. What we've gotten there is him looking for the real killer for 10 years on every golf course.
The term that the Obama administration wants us to use about the overseas contingency operation, it just doesn't roll off the tongue. But David, nevertheless, go ahead.
Right.
What the question? Why not? Why not bring them here?
I really want to answer the question that my Republican colleague just posed. What benefit do we have by having a trial here in the United States? There are several. Let me articulate them. Number one, justice, justice, justice. The reason why courts are often inviting the public to watch is because this is how we show Americans and the rest of the world that when you do something wrong, you get punished, you get sent to jail, you get the death penalty. That's an important message to send to the world. That's number one. Number two, if we're going to stand up to the rest of the world and say, work with us, we're the United States, help us chase down terrorists around the world, we'd better have a good example to show for our fairness and transparency of our judicial system. If you want the Pakistanis to help, if you want to be able to succeed in Afghanistan, if you want to be able to succeed in the rest of the world, you better set a good example. And kangaroo courts run by the military on Guantanamo Bay is not a good example.
I'm not closed-minded to the arguments being made against bringing terrorists here to the United States. I just don't think that the arguments themselves are very logical or strong at this point. Well, Doug, David, guys, I'm going to wrap it there. Thanks.
Thank you.